So we thought we would have a bit of a chat about de-escalation and frustrations, arguments, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, let's just argue.
So here's a principle. In order for two people who see the world differently and may have a different approach to given things, you have to have a way to try and sort out those difficulties. Now there's the regular one that everybody does, which is just a compromise. Fine, we'll do it your way.
But compromising can actually bring a lot of resentment, because if what I'm doing every time is I'm just not bothered to actually say my point of view because I can't be bothered to deal with you, then I'm going to keep on saying yes, 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 yes. And there's going to come a point where I'm exploding a bit because I haven't really shared my perspective.
You don't feel empowered, and you don't feel respected, and you don't feel listened to, and all that thing, which happens all of the time, right? The truth is, there's a reasonable baseline for how to look at any given situation. There's some facts, there's some feelings, they've got to be put together, there's a commitment to each other. And couples, we think, can really do themselves a huge favor in the long term by working early on in the relationship, or at any point in the relationship when you become aware of it, on building in that kind of commitment to getting to that space where everyone's listened to, but we're also being rational, but we're also being reasonable, but we're also being touchy-feely. Everyone's feelings, emotions, as well as the facts are kind of being taken into account. And there's a feeling that happens when you get to that baseline. And that's the baseline that you want to be in all of the time. However, when something goes wrong, there's a pressure call, you tend to not be operating at that space. And the more deeply that space is the space that you know historically in your mind, that's where we've got to get to be able to work this out. And then we can always work it out. And work it out in a way that we're really happy. You've got to build that in almost like as a feeling or as a principle in terms of how you run your marriage.
So if you have a principle of we listen to each other, we're allowed to disagree, which is really important, because people who avoid conflict will often not remember that it's okay to disagree. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with your marriage. You really are creating the basis of what we simply call respect, which is you have an opinion, I have an opinion. We don't have to have the same conclusion, but we can work both our opinions into whatever the situation is in a way that really takes account of the other person's needs and perspectives.
Yeah, 100%, because it's always the case that this tiny little detail that I feel strongly about is more important in my ethical system of values than all of the feelings that we have for each other and all of the good stuff. And that's really, in a weird way, the dynamic of how relationships break down. So something really stupid takes on this gargantuan proportion and it kind of destroys all of the good feeling underneath. So working hard on getting used to a feeling of mutual respect, and that's where we need to be to have conversations, means that when either one of us is out of whack with that, we can kind of say to the other person, I don't think we're in that respectful space that we like to be in. How can we de-escalate this so we can get to that place? But both sides have to have felt it enough times to know that that's the baseline for really looking at things. And then when one person suggests, hey, I don't know if we're there right now, how can we get back there? It's not offensive to the other person. They don't feel like I'm not being listened to, because they know that that place is where they're listened to the most, right? And where we get the best kind of conclusion.